This is True Wrestling Fables, a delightful story hour filled with larger-than-life tales from the world of professional wrestling. The following podcast is scheduled for one fall with a 60-minute time limit. Coming down the aisle, your hosts from the mean streets of Gary, Indiana, the phenomenal Tony Sai, and his podcast partner from the dirty South, Johnny Bruiser Bowles.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show.
Welcome
it's
to the
boy.
show. Hey, what's up? Hooah!
Who's like the worst radio voice? Have you ever just listened to the radio randomly? It's like, and it's just terrible, and you're like, how did they get in radio?
Anytime I think of radio voice, I think of that scene in Wayne's World 2 where they go to do the radio interview, and the guy's just got a golden voice, and it's Harry Shearer, the guy that does like, all the voices like for The Simpsons, and he's in all those like Spinal Tap movies and stuff, and he is like this tiny little guy, but his voice is like amazing. And then they get into the studio, and they're like having an interview, and he's not even paying attention to him. He's just like phoning it in, and he's like, yeah, work is hard. And they're like, I could say anything right now. And like, you're not even listening.
Dude. I've listened to podcasts like that where you can tell that like one person is literally like on their computer or on their phone or like answering emails or like I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. And sometimes I feel bad, like on my other show when I interview somebody, sometimes I get so wrapped up in like wanting to make the interview good that sometimes I zone out a little bit of like their answer to a question.
And you're thinking of your response before you listen to the answer.
Well, it's not so much my response. I'm thinking of the like, okay, where am I going to go after this? Where am I going to go after this? And so sometimes it's like, that's great. So what do you think about?
Oh, wow. It's terrible that your father died. So what do you think about the Cubs, huh?
That sounds hard. What's next? Have you ever been with like a group of people in a different setting than you're used to? Like we had a complex wine night last night, like in our apartment complex.
Oh.
And I'm sitting there and there's maybe like 10 of us.
Was it complex?
It was complex because the conversation got a little complex because, you know, some of them are like really, you know, computer nerds and programmers and stuff like that. And I'm sitting there listening to them talk and I'm like completely zoned out and just thinking, why am I not watching wrestling right now? Oh! You know, and they're just talking like so proper and using big words and everything. And all I want to do is just be like, hey guys, who's your favorite wrestler?
Oh, you're a simple man.
Dude, it's all I could think about last night.
You just want to cheer the baby face and boo the heel and get on with it.
That's right. I was just like, who cares that Microsoft seems to be making advances that could be threatening to the future of Apple's domination of the computer market? I'm like, dude, you want to know about threatening? Have you ever seen Braun Strowman? He's a threat. He's threatening everybody on the roster.
Yes.
Damn it, guys. Why aren't we talking about this?
Dude, that's hilarious.
But I have a story.
Welcome to the show, everybody.
Yeah, welcome to the show. This is about stories, all right? It's not about our stories. It's about wrestling stories, fables, if you will.
Will you tell me a wrestling story? I just really, I'm needing encouragement, you know, a story, a tale that will enliven my faith.
Warm the heart. Energize the soul. Tony, it was the summer of 1974.
Ooh.
The setting, Central Florida. Are you a fan of Florida?
All the four-letter listeners out there, I love you. I've never really liked Florida. It's never been my thing.
When I was growing up in, you know, obviously in the dirty South, Florida was our go-to family vacation. And so
the crown jewel.
I have a very warm place in my heart for Florida. I would never want to live there. Ever, under any circumstances. I don't think I'd ever want to live in Florida. But you take me to the beach in Destin, we're gonna have a good time in that little burg. You take me down to Orlando, we're gonna have a blast. We go to Tampa, we're going to Busch Gardens, brother.
You're gonna see Tampa John Cena.
Oh my gosh, yes. I totally forgot about that.
That's where his McMansion is.
Yes, we could spot him and Nikki out at a wine bar. Yeah, so you're not a Florida guy? Not a Florida fan?
The one time I went to Florida was in 8th grade, and it was like our family vacation, and we road trip down there. But I was in 8th grade.
That's tough. That's tough.
I was in 8th grade. We road trip down from Indiana, and I was that weird age. I'm like 14, and so like the whole drive down, I was listening to like emo music, and I wouldn't go outside. And then I also was a vegan at the time, and so we went to go to like this Greyhound dog racing thing, and I was like, I will not participate in this. And so I pretty much ruined the whole family vacation to Florida.
Oh my gosh.
I was that kid, dude.
Dude, I would love to see videotape of Tony vegan, age 14,
Oh, dude.
protesting a family trip to the dog races. I just can't help it. I saw that episode of The Simpsons with Santa's little helper, and I can't.
Yeah, no, seriously. It was like exactly like that.
Oh my God. Oh, all right. Well, I like Florida. And I was vegan for a second, but mostly because I wanted to learn how to eat vegetables better.
Ooh. But then you just ended up eating Boca burgers instead, and it was like all over.
Right? Just with some veganese.
Hmm.
Yeah, all right. So the characters in my story today, summer 1974, in Florida, the great, the legendary Gary Hart,
Ooh.
and probably the greatest professional wrestler of all time, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Oh.
So at the time, summer 74, in Florida, in that territory, they were in a heated feud. But because they really liked each other and they're both savvy businessmen, they went into business together selling T-shirts.
They were before their time.
Totally. This is the original pro wrestling tees. And it wasn't a website. It was the trunk of Dusty Rhodes' white 72 Cadillac Eldorado. So Dusty and Gary both put in $250 a piece, and they get just boxfuls of shirts printed up. All right. So in the design, it was like stars and stripes down the side, and across the front, it said like the American Dream. And at this point in my life, I think I would be willing to pay definitely $100, maybe a few $100s to have one of those shirts.
Wow. That's a real fan.
Do you have like a holy grail of like wrestling merch that you are kind of like always on the lookout for, maybe?
Always on the lookout for. Oh, there is one figure, because I do like the figures.
Mm-hmm.
There is one figure that is the Macho Man defining moments, and he's in his purple and white WrestleMania gear.
Oh.
And every time I look it up, it's like $150.
Jeez.
Because it's from like 3 or 4. It was like one of the first. I think it was the first defining moments one, which those are like the nicer figures that you keep in the boxes. You know?
Those are very nice. Those are the ones they give you posters of at WrestleMania.
Yes, exactly. So that's like the original one from like 5 years ago, but they only exist for like $150 now.
Yeah.
I would never spend that much money on a figure, but
listeners, if you have an extra one lying around, and you
in the box,
and you have in the box, please. None of this loose figure crap. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, what am I supposed to do with that?
Mint,
how am I going to pay off my children's college with that?
Mint condish. All right, mint condish. Send that to Tony Sy 123
Sesame
Street, Columbus, Ohio 77777. So okay.
Is that your holy grail then? A shirt from the trunk of Dusty Rhodes.
Well, I mean, that would be awesome. But no, there's two. Like, I would love to have that shirt, but the Dusty Rhodes trucker hat.
Yes.
Every now and then you see that thing floating around on eBay. Somebody has one. I literally think there might be only like one, and I think people are just like passing it around like on eBay. Like somebody buys it on eBay and they're like, "Ooh, I got it. I'm going to resell it, and I'm going to put cuz I think the same hat keeps popping up. But that Dusty Rhodes trucker hat, or I want a Brainbusters ring jacket.
Whoa.
Yeah, that would be killer.
And the Brainbusters, that's Tully and Arn when they did a little WWE run for like a year or so.
When they did a little stint in New York, brother. So
they start a t-shirt business.
T-shirt biz out of the trunk. And so whenever Dusty would roll up to the arena, it was very noticeable, very flamboyant, big white Cadillac. And so people would rush his car to meet him. And then he would go take his bag out of the trunk and people would see these boxes of T-shirts, like kind of, oh, look at these. Oh, T-shirts. Yeah, I just happen to have these in my trunk, and then Dusty would say, or the people would ask for one of the shirts, and Dusty would say, "Here, just talk to my friend here, and he'll help you out." And he would go inside, because you can't sell your own gimmicks. You know what I mean? This wasn't PWG, not sitting on the ring apron and draping your T-shirts over the ropes. This is back in the 70s, bro. This is when it was the real deal.
Yeah.
The American dream has no time, daddy, to sell his own T-shirts. Talk to my friend, baby. So, so people are just like buying these, like buying them all right? But they had to do it in secret because at the time, Eddie Graham, who was the boss of that territory, would not allow wrestlers to sell concessions or anything at all right?
Oh, wow.
But
so Dusty couldn't even sell hot dogs if he wanted to.
Hot dogs or T-shirts. You can't sell nothing. Come on, get your American Dream nachos, daddy, right here.
Dude, I could totally see. Be like, hey, hey, daddy, if you want to look like me, how about you come over and have some nachos?
Come on, baby, get some Cracker Jacks before the show. Special American Dream toy on the inside. Anyway, so over the course of 6 weeks, though, they sold every shirt and made $2,500. Which that's a chunk of change.
That's enough to pay for Yale back then.
For real, man. You are buying a 4-bedroom house for $2,500. But after 6 weeks and they sold all these shirts, made the $2,500, Eddie Graham caught them and was like, y'all can't do this anymore. So, being the crafty business people that they are, Gary Hart and Dusty decided, all right, well, we're not going to sell gimmicks anymore. We're not going to be selling shirts and that kind of stuff out of the trunk. We're going to the next level. We're going to start promoting concerts because that's the obvious next step. If you're selling T-shirts.
Dude, that's just like... that's just like something in the 70s, like that you do like now. Like, can you even in 2016, 2017, can you just go like, hey, I think I'm going to just start being a concert promoter. Like, I have no experience in it, but hey, I think I'm going to do it.
I think you can still. I think it's a lot harder because, there's just...
Bands know how to make their own Facebook events now.
Yes, exactly. Like there's a lot of do-it-yourselfers, and there's been a lot of dubious and devious concert promoters that have screwed a lot of people. So it's you're gonna have to be really good about it. But,
yes.
So they decided to promote a concert. Okay, so they've gone from pro wrestling tees to pro wrestling concerts, which is obviously the next big thing. So we should go buy that domain right now, prowrestlingconcerts.com. Support your favorite wrestler as he sings songs. So they planned a show for the Fort Hesterly Armory there in Tampa, and it was going to feature Dusty Rhodes. All right. So Gary Hart, being the savvy businessman, he's like, hey, Dusty, why don't we book Bobby Blue Bland? That's really hard to say. Bobby Blue Bland.
That's not like Joe Schmo. That's what he went by.
Yeah. Bobby Blue Bland. And he was the thing. Like he was popular. Like he's had songs. Like there was not too many that I had heard of, but he was
Other people heard them.
Other people had heard of him at the time. He was hot, so I mean, if you look him up on Wikipedia, he's got quite an extensive catalog. Yeah, but because apparently Gary had a hookup or something, and they could book him for $1,000, and then they would have $1,500 left to rent the arena and to promote it. Okay. And so Gary Hart is like, we'll have Bland headline the thing. And then Dusty, you just come out and sing a few songs with him and kind of, be the host of the evening. Right.
Yes.
And of course, where this is going because Dusty said, no way. He says, this is my show and I'm headlining this thing on my own. And then this is
and Dusty wants to do music at this thing.
Yes.
Okay.
He's like, no, sir, Gary. This is the American Dream Rock and Roll Revival.
Oh my God.
Bro, how many thousands of dollars would you pay to go back in time to be backstage, to have a backstage laminate to the American Dream Rock and Roll Revival? How fun would that be? But
That's what it was called.
yes, that's what it was called.
Oh, I thought you were making I thought that was
No,
a joke. Like
that
you were
is
just making a
legit.
joke.
The American Dream Rock and Roll Revival. That is what Dusty wanted to call it. He's like,
Dude.
we ain't booking no talent. I am the talent, and I'm going to headline this thing. And so Gary Hart is like, well, you are pretty over. So he goes along with it like, sure, let's do it. So now to give a little backstory, this isn't like ridiculous. This isn't like Steve Austin picking up a guitar and like serenading Kurt Angle backstage at Raw or anything like that. This is there was Dusty had a little bit of musicality to him because him and Dick Murdoch used to always go out in the bars in Tampa and they would get up and they would sing a few songs and everybody loved them, right? And actually, fun fact, in some of those local bands that were playing at bars that would, end up backing up Dusty and Dick Murdoch, there was a young bassist by the name of Terry Bollea.
No.
I shit you not, brother. Hulk Hogan played bass and backed up Dusty Rhodes and Dick Murdoch on more than one occasion. How about that?
No way.
Is that crazy?
Did you know Hulk Hogan almost played bass for Metallica, supposedly?
Dude, I think there's like a huge allegedly when it comes to that story.
Oh, has anyone ever asked the Metallica guys about this story?
We got to figure that out. Like, what is the official verdict on? Because we obviously know Hulk's thing. He was like, "Yeah, man, I turned it down. Like they wanted me so bad. They wanted these sweet chops that I had." But yeah, I don't know that that's actually true. But listeners, if it is true and you've got some
Let us
insight
know
on the relationship between Terry Hulk Hogan Bollea and Metallica, please let me know.
Send it in.
Very interesting stuff. So anyway,
So Hulk was playing bass for Dusty Rhodes at the Revival.
well, no, not at the Revival, but previously when when Dusty and Dick Murdoch, they were tag partners, they would go out in the bars, they'd get up and sing. Well, the band in some of those bars, it's a local band, and Terry Bollea was the bass player in some of those bands.
Oh, because this is like before karaoke machines. You just had like a karaoke band.
Yeah, dude, 1974, dude. This is legit.
Now karaoke machines are already outdated, but this is pre-karaoke machine. They were just karaoke band.
Well, and I don't know that the American Dream would frequent a karaoke establishment. He seems more of like a, cowboy boots. And of course, this is in Florida. This is like, redneck beach. So I don't know that they would do a lot of karaoke down there. Anyway, so they booked the show for a Sunday in early October. Okay. And they spend $500 to get backup bands, or like to get a backup band, which did not feature Terry Bollea. And then Dusty recruited some wrestlers to be his backup singers. No lie. Get this. Here we go. Here is Dusty Rhodes' backup singers for the American Dream Rock and Roll Revival in 1974. Bob Armstrong, Mike Graham, Jerry Briscoe, Steve Kern, and Don Morocco.
That's a good backup band.
I know, right? That's not too shabby. You got like several different body types. You got a little bit of Hawaiian.
one type of hunk for each of the ladies.
Exactly. Steve Kern kind of beardy and stuff. Morocco just ripped up and huge and bringing that island flavor. Magnificent Morocco, and then the Briscoes there for the all American boy and everything. And Mike Graham was obviously very pretty at the time. So those are his backup singers, and he gives them a name. These are my outlaws, baby.
Dusty Rhodes and the Outlaws.
Dusty Rhodes and the Outlaws, the headlining act at the American Dream Rock and Roll Revival. The only thing is, none of those guys could actually sing or dance. So,
surprise,
right? Oh man, who would you? I mean, if we were booking a concert, who's your backup band?
Of wrestlers?
Yeah. Who, like, if you had to put together a band.
If I had to put together a band, well, I would have Terry Bollea on the bass.
On the bass. Okay, who's playing drums for you?
Ooh, drums.
For some reason, I see Kane on the drums.
Oh, you do. I always think of drummers like whenever I see a band that has a really fat drummer, that just like really makes me happy. So I would want like Yokozuna on the drums.
Ooh, yeah. Come on, Yoko on the drums. All right.
There's like a pop punk band called Bowling for Soup that had like a 400-pound drummer. I liked that.
Yes. The bigger the drummer, usually the better they are.
The better the tone.
Yes, for sure. Who are your guitar players?
Dude, my guitar players? Dude, Chris Jericho.
Dude.
And The Rock.
Jericho and The Rock playing guitar. You don't want Jericho as the front man?
Oh, I thought I was the front man.
Okay, well, yeah. Of course you are, Dusty. You're the front man. You're headlining this thing. God dang it. Forget Jericho.
I thought I was headlining this show.
Sorry I even asked. Oh, my God. Okay. Dude, that's a great band. I love that. Oh my
Dude,
gosh.
the best thing about having The Rock in your band is you would just like immediately make like $1 billion.
It's true. That guy.
What about you? Who's your band? Who's your wrestler band?
Oh, my wrestler band. All right, here we go. I want let's see. Okay, I'm going to have keys in mind, a keyboard player, and I want Akeem the African Dream on keys.
Nice.
I want Papa Shango on auxiliary percussion. The bongo drums and the
yes.
And the shakers and the rattle, the didgeridoo. Let's see, who's my drummer? I'm going with Kane, like original Kane, like debut Kane.
Yes,
on the on the drums. And then let's see, who's playing bass for me? I think I would want. The first name that comes to mind is the Big Boss Man on bass.
Ooh,
because much like the drummer, the bigger the drummer, the better the drumming. The bigger the bass player, the better the bass. So Big Boss Man on the bass.
So not when he slimmed down during the Attitude Era. You want him when he had the blue police jacket, light blue police jacket.
Yes, absolutely, definitely. And then
not the one who got hung by the Undertaker.
No, very very dark time in his life. And then you know what? I'm going a little sideways on this one. We're going indie on this. I want the Young Bucks on guitar.
Whoa!
Yeah, we're going Young Bucks on the guitar. I mean, the moves alone they have, and then I think the antics would be incredible. Yeah, and then whoever runs lights for the Undertaker, they're doing my lighting. So
there we go.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my band. But yeah. So Dusty, he picks Barb Armstrong, Mark Graham, Jerry Briscoe, Don Morocco, Steve Kern to be the outlaws for his thing. But they can't sing, they can't dance. And then you got Dusty up there, and then you got this kind of like ragtag band that they paid $500 for. And so Gary Hart puts the set list together for him. And they just played a bunch of cover songs like Elvis and David Allan Coe, Merle Haggard, all that kind of stuff. And so,
dude, I love Merle, dude.
Dude, I'm a big Merle fan. I mean, Johnny Cash is my ultimate of that kind of genre.
Really?
But Merle Haggard is he's right up there.
David Allan Coe, besides the little bit Confederate stuff he's got going on,
except for that whole rebel flag thing.
Yeah, I'm not really into that.
Redneckery.
His song, You don't even call me by my name. I could sing along to that all day long.
He's got a great aesthetic. I love that guy. So they advertise it all over. And so the question is then at that point, can the American Dream and his music ability and his outlaw backup singers, can they pack the house? So now, because Gary Hart and Dusty are mortal enemies in the territory at this time, Gary Hart could not go to the show. Couldn't be there because of kayfabe, brother.
Yes.
So he, that night, just drives by the arena about 30 minutes, 45 minutes after it starts, and there's only 120 cars in the parking lot. And so, it's that question of, did they just not promote it well enough? Or did nobody really want to hear Dusty Rhodes and a bunch of wrestlers try to sing other people's
Dude, that
songs?
must have been humbling, too, because in the 70s, he was like a huge deal.
Oh, dude, he was like Elvis. It was amazing. But so now, of course, but it was totally cool. Like Dusty, he wasn't mad about it. He had the time of his life, because isn't it true? Like we hear this all the time that like wrestlers want to be rock stars and rock stars want to be wrestlers.
Yes, and Chris Jericho has done it, kind of.
For real. He's done it. He is the ultimate. He has achieved it. He was a wrestler, became a rock star, went back to wrestling, back to rock star, does them both at the same time. And right now, I mean, he is rocking the world. But so Dusty had a great time. I mean, can you imagine like how fun that would have been to be there at that show and to see all those guys? Like, you know, it was a totally different vibe for him, right? But yeah, so very poorly attended. And of course, Dusty blames the territory office because they wouldn't let him promote it on TV. Well, had they let me promote it on TV, Daddy, it would have been a packed house, standing room only for the dream. But here's the cool part. Allegedly, there is a VHS recording of the American Dream Rock and Roll Revival floating around somewhere. It was recorded. Somebody somewhere has that videotape, and it is incredibly hard to find. I don't know if it's ever been reproduced, but I think I'm adding that to my holy grail.
That's on the list.
I want the videotape of the American Dream Rock and Roll Revival with Dusty and the Outlaws singing and dancing, and that is my story.
Dude, that tape, someone 2 years from now, when we're the best podcast in the world,
that's right,
they're going to send that tape.
Yeah, when we are the rock star and wrestler of the podcast world. Yeah, no, for real. If anybody knows where that tape is, like who has one, if we can get it up on YouTube, just a short clip.
Yes.
I just want to see what's the stage setup. Did they have any stage furniture? You know, was there a giant American flag? Maybe, I don't know. Was there
a giant American flag?
Was there an inflatable Dusty kind of hovering over the drum set? Or I don't know. What was Dusty wearing? Did he kind of dress up for it? I mean, obviously there had to have been a cowboy hat, but you know, I don't know. There's so many questions I have about it. I wish I could have been there. And that story, that comes from the Playboy Gary Hart's autobiography, which is called My Life in Wrestling, with a little help from my friends. And allegedly, as Stone Cold Steve Austin would say, it is the best book on wrestling he's ever read.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've heard that many times.
Definitely. Yes.
Well, dude, I have a story for you that kind of actually has to do with people doing a little bit of a crossover. At least part of it is. This guy was involved with someone who did a crossover. But today's story is about Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Dude, I've spent so much time watching Bam Bam Bigelow stuff. He was awesome because he's like 350 pounds, maybe more, and tough. He has his front teeth missing, a flame tattoo on his skull.
Dude, I was a little afraid of him as a kid, to be honest. Like when I saw the flame tattoos on his head, I was like a little bit scared of like, wow, that guy he must be really mean if he can get a tattoo on his head. That had to hurt really bad.
Dude, in 1995, when they had like his failed babyface run, they tried to make him a good guy. They literally got like temporary tattoos that were like a replica of his head tattoo, so little kids could have their heads.
What?
Yes, with temporary tattoos. But then they realized, like, oh, like no little kids probably have cream shaved heads. So like,
it's just for
like
all those little Make-A-Wish kids.
It didn't really work.
It's for the little Make-A-Wish kids out there. Aww. When Bam Bam goes to make a wish. Bam Bam.
Dude, Bam Bam was crazy. He started off in WWF back in the 80s, and dude, on his way to the top, like he got brought in and was like a hot commodity because everyone knew he was a legitimate tough guy and he was fighting, and like everyone just thought he had this unique look. And the thing that's really funny is like in today's look, like he kind of just looks like a guy you would see at a Waffle House. Like he kind of just has like a trucker look. But I guess like truckers now, you know, that are like 50, that's how old he would be were he alive. Probably that was just like the cool look or something back then. But anyway, so first off, he comes in the company and immediately is picking fights with Andre the Giant.
What?
And dude, literally just he realizes they like him, and so he just gets immediately like a huge ego and like picking fights with people, this, that, and the other. He ends up leaving WWE, goes to WCW for a while, and he had multiple stints in WCW, multiple stints in WWE/WWF, whatever the heck you want to call it, and then also some insane matches in ECW. But Dude, when he was first getting going, dude, that skull tattoo he had,
Yeah.
it cost him $4,500. And
What?
yes, it was $4,500. But dude, it was literally on the base of his skull. And so he would black out multiple times. He blacked out like 5 times during the course of his head tattoo because it'd be such intense pain, like because it's like on his temples and stuff too.
Wow.
So he's just like an all-around tough guy. You know, he bounces around. He ended up main eventing WrestleMania 11 against Lawrence Taylor, who is just this football player who were you a little kid? Like, do you remember WrestleMania 11? Is that, yeah? Are you young enough for that?
I remember it vividly, brother.
Really?
Oh yeah. No, I watched it at Brian McCollister's house in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Like, I remember distinctly because that was also a WrestleMania where Pamela Anderson was there.
Oh
yeah.
And Jenny McCarthy for the Diesel versus Shawn Michaels.
Yes. Yeah, no, I love WrestleMania 11. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
The thing that was awesome was Lawrence Taylor had no wrestling experience. This guy, he was like a linebacker, so he was like a really famous NFL player, and the WWE was hurting for like ratings at the time, and they wanted more people tuning in. They just wanted as many eyes. And every year at WrestleMania, you know, they always have celebrities and stuff like that. And so they put him versus Bam Bam in the main event, and they thought like, okay, hey, this will be, you know, a huge star. And Bam Bam's a great enough wrestler that he can kind of carry it or whatever. And so Bam Bam was cool with it until like the day of, he found out he was supposed to lose. And so literally they went like,
oh, poor Bam Bam. He didn't
overnight,
know.
dude. He went from being like, dude, exactly. He went overnight from being like the hottest heel in the company to losing to some guy who'd never wrestled before. And so the whole commentary of the match is like, it will be a shock if Bam Bam loses. Like, this guy he's facing has never wrestled before, and Bam Bam has worked his whole career for this match. And so by the time Bam Bam loses, it's like the whole thing is deflated. He leaves and goes to ECW and starts doing like hardcore matches and all of this stuff. And so he just had a wild career. He was in WWF like 3 times, in WCW a couple times, in and out of ECW. But the thing that was crazy was he was known as like a legitimate tough guy. One of the reasons why he got kicked out of WWF is because he would always be wanting to pick fights with the Clique. And he was like, couldn't stand them. And he was mad at them because they wouldn't keep kayfabe. And for those of you guys that don't know, kayfabe is like imagine like, you know, the wrestlers are actors. And so there's storylines going on. Well, if 2 wrestlers in the storyline are hating each other, they're not supposed to be like riding from town to town together. And they're not supposed to be eating at Burger King together, because then the fans will see it and go, hey, I thought Terry Funk and, you know, Hulk Hogan hated each other. Why are they eating croissant sandwiches together or whatever?
Dude, the croissant sandwiches. I gotta go get some. I'm starving.
Trying to get that sponsorship, dude. I don't even want a monetary sponsorship. I just want a year's supply of croissant sandwiches. Right. Burger King.
I want a Burger King black card that only works for croissant sandwiches.
Dude,
where I just flash it and it just gives them to me 2 at a time. 2 at a time. I don't want to be able to fill a bag or anything like that. I want to have to, like, you know, actually go do the work, but I want 2 at a time. I want a little Burger King black card. I want to have a little logo. I want it to be all black. I want to have some weight to it so I feel special. And I want to go up to the counter. Actually, you know what? I'm not going inside. I'm doing drive-through. So it's just kind of like a really intimate moment between me and the drive-through person. And they're like,
and they know.
Right. And they're like, okay, that'll be $4.25. And I'm like, no, it's not. And I hold up my little black card and they're like, oh, right away, sir. We'll have them right away.
Oh, yeah. Right away, sir. Right away, Your Highness.
Oh, you are the Burger King.
Yes, the Burger King.
At least I want to be the Prince of croissant sandwiches.
Oh my gosh. I think we could arrange that. You know, Burger King, you know, maybe they're wanting to get some more eyes on the product.
Right.
You know, I think there's definitely an overlap between pro wrestling fans and Burger King.
Definitely.
Based on the food that is advertised during Monday Night Raw. It's all junk food. So, I mean, Burger King would have a great space. You know, we would be an overlap.
Yeah, I feel like Burger King is getting a little gimmicky too, because they're like doing things like Cheeto covered chicken fries. They're just like, all right, give me 3 words. Anybody, give me 3 words. Okay, Cheetos. Give me another one. Chicken. Give me another one. French fries. Cheeto chicken fries.
Yes. Or they had the Whopper burrito. Literally, all that happens is the guy who is like the head of their research and development is literally just like this really big stone. I think it's just like Seth Rogen's character. Not actually Seth Rogen, but the characters he plays. It's just like they just get him super high and they lock him up in a room for like 24 hours. They get him super high and he has to write down all of his ideas.
He just has a dartboard and he just throws a dart. Okay, that hit Whopper. All right, let me throw another one. All right, that hit burrito. Whopper burrito. Do it.
Yes, the taco waffle. We're going for it.
They do that at Taco Bell. It's pretty good.
I know.
Don't sleep on that Taco Bell breakfast, okay?
No.
Just because it's the new kid on the block, I'm telling you.
No.
Yes.
Taco Bell breakfast. Like if somebody sees me at Taco Bell breakfast if I'm at Taco Bell at 8 a.m. and it's because I just woke up and went there first, that literally means like it might as well be as dangerous, at least for me personally. Like if you see me in the Taco Bell drive-thru at 8 a.m., it would be no different than seeing me with a shotgun in my mouth. Like that. I mean, it's like my life is over. I've quit on myself. I'm like, I'm just starting my day with depression. Like,
you're probably right. You're probably right.
Dude, I never eat Taco Bell when my self-esteem is high, you know? It's like, wow, I just had a great day at work. Man, I feel great from the gym. Life is awesome. Let's go get some Taco Bell to celebrate.
Oh my gosh, I am crying over here.
No, seriously, dude, that's what Taco Bell exists for, dude, because that's why you can eat in your car, and the parking spaces are not for people to come in and eat Taco Bell. Like, nobody goes and has a sit-down dinner at Taco Bell. It's so that you could sit in your car and just eat there in shame, like, and not let anybody know, and you're like, okay, cool, I found some cash. The wife won't have to know I've eaten this Taco Bell. I'm just here, like, give me the Baja Blast.
Look, if you're sitting in a Taco Bell parking lot with a quesarito in each hand, listening to this podcast,
put him down.
Just, guys, it gets better. Don't do it. Don't do it. At least take it home and eat it at home.
Yes, eat it at home.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
So Bam Bam Bigelow.
So Bam Bam, he's always pissed. He was pretty much just, everyone thought he was kind of angry. I don't know. Maybe he was a misunderstood figure.
Well, he did have flames tattooed on his head.
He did. And his whole gimmick was like flames. He had flames, a flame outfit. Everything was flame.
Dude, we ought to make a onesie that looks like Bam Bam Bigelow's thing. Like one of those like Japanese kigurumi fleece things.
Ooh, yes.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. That's our first product.
Yeah, we're going to sell it out of the back of Dusty Rhodes' Cadillac.
Yes.
You put in $250, I'll put in $250.
We'll use the proceeds to do our own concert. We'll do a live show. And then, so Bam Bam's really mad because the Clique, you know, Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon were riding in the car together when they were supposed to be feuding, and Bam Bam's wanting to pick a fight about it. And Razor Ramon's like, dude, it's not real, man. It's not real. And Bam Bam was like pissed, dude, because he lived it. He thought it was real. And then literally like the next year, Bam Bam did just an obscure MMA fight in Japan because he wanted to prove that he was a tough guy. And even though he had no MMA experience or anything, he literally just like flew to Japan. He's like, I'm going to fight someone in a cage.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that.
Dude, he loses pretty bad because I mean, he's fighting like a Japanese martial artist, and he's just like some like trucker tough guy sort of person. But
my question would be, did Luna Vachon walk him out to the ring for his cage fight?
Oh, dude, I don't know, dude. I think Luna was with I think at that time, because like 1996 is when 1996-97 is when Luna was with Goldust. So it was before she joined the Oddities.
You're right.
But it was when Goldust was doing that thing, like where Goldust, every week he had a different gimmick, and he was like seeking. So like he kind of came out and said like, hey, look, this Goldust character is not who I am. I've just been trying to get my father's attention. I've been trying to get Dusty's attention. And so every week he would put on these weird outfits. One time he dressed in all green. One time he dressed as the New Year's baby. One time he dressed as Dusty Rhodes. And he ended up, the best was he did it for the shortest time that year. Took like 3 weeks where he quit it all and he became like a holy repentance preacher.
Wow. I've never seen that.
Dude, 1997, dude. That was my year.
Wow. Dude, that's so cool. The artist formerly known as Goldust. Isn't that what he was calling himself at that point?
Yes, exactly. That's when he was known. And then he went by Dustin Reynolds for a while. And then I think he did drugs and was gone.
Oh.
I mean, he's not gone. He's still with us today.
Well, I always liked Luna and was also kind of scared, but then like slightly like weirdly turned on as a little boy.
Your first like sexual awakening, you're like, ooh, I'm scared. Ooh.
Oh Lord! Yeah.
So that's what scared feels like.
I know she looks angry, but she's kind of pretty.
Yeah, I didn't know I like tattoos on the side of women's heads. It's
right.
pretty.
I don't know. Maybe it was just the fishnet stockings. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
lots of leather.
This is all about Bam Bam, but this is the thing about Bam Bam. Before he passed away. But there was a beautiful story of him from 2000, and he's from New Jersey, and he's in his home, and his wrestling career is kind of winding down by 2000. It's in like the latter days of WCW, and Bam Bam's looking over, and he's sitting in his house or whatever, and he starts smelling smoke. So he's like, "Oh crap! Did I leave the bacon on the stove, or what's going on?"
Is that my head? No.
And no, exactly. He's like, "Oh, it smells like fire." Oh. He starts kind of looking around. He walks out of his house. He looks over, and like a few blocks down, there's a house on fire. And literally 3 houses down from there's a house on fire. He walks over, jumps over, and he looks, and there's 3 little kids in the house.
What?
And this house is on fire. Yes, dude. This is the climax of it all, dude. This is when Bam Bam Bigelow becomes your hero, because Bam Bam saw 3 children burning in the house. Because they were messing around with firecrackers and wood and trying to build their own little bonfire, and they set their house on fire. No parents were there. The fire department hadn't been called yet.
Freaking New Jersey.
And what he sees, dude, what he does, dude, he sees those 3 kids, and he just goes into the house and rescues them. Dude, he literally goes and rescues 3 kids out of the house. And while he was in there, dude, he got 2nd-degree burns on 50% of his body.
What? Oh, my gosh.
The guy who has flame tattoos on his skull and on his arms now had his arms and his legs like burnt to a crisp.
Oh my god!
2nd-degree burns, but he saved the kids. And then later in an interview, when they asked him, like, because then everyone was like, local wrestler saves boys and all that sort of stuff, and he was like, "Hey man, I think anyone would have done what I did." He's like, "If you just see 3 kids burn in there, you can't help but run in. You've gotta run in there and save the kids. Anyone would have done that."
That is amazing. Why am I picturing him doing this in his wrestling gear?
Dude, he is, dude. Imagine. That's the only way to imagine it. He comes in. He is the ultimate firefighter. He fights fire with fire.
I just I had no idea about that story. That's so cool.
I know we didn't know where that was going at all but I had to give some backstory on Bam Bam because the story is only so long. So I was like, okay, Bam Bam Bigelow saved 3 kids from their own demise and got burned along the way. What a Christ-like figure.
For real. And then it's so poetic with the fire. And it was like,
I know,
dude, that should be a movie, or at least a 3-minute short video on YouTube or something, like
a WWE Studios movie.
Yeah.
Dude, why does WWE makes all these movies that I mostly don't want to watch?
Hey,
no offense.
12 rounds. The first 12 rounds, I enjoyed it.
Santa's Little Helper with Paige and The Miz, not terrible.
Okay.
Anything with The Miz in it, I'll watch. But I just love him. But dude, imagine if WWE Studios did documentaries, biopics though. Instead of a documentary,
right.
They did they hired someone okay, we're gonna do the Bam Bam Bigelow story, and they hire their B-rated actors to do a movie. Or even better, if they had other other wrestlers be okay, this summer Kevin Owens starring as Bam Bam Bigelow in Fight Through the Fire. Or dude, those movies I would love it.
Dude, that is such a great idea. I loved it. And then picturing Kevin Owens in the Bam Bam Bigelow outfit. Oh my gosh. Oh wow.
This summer, Dolph Ziggler as the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, Tragedy and Triumph.
Well, he's been playing him for years.
The drug years, Shawn Michaels.
Now, are we going to need a prosthetic for that time when the eyeball went kind of cockeyed a little bit?
What? How did that happen?
Oh man, I've heard this before. I think he just got dropped on his head in a match or something like that.
Ooh.
Or maybe it was a kick, something.
The Benoit headbutt.
Yeah, maybe.
I've heard that.
First Benoit mention in quite a while.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. You never have to apologize. You can't erase him. Dude, what a great story. Dude, what do you think those kids do you think he was dang kids playing with firecrackers. Like, what kind of neighbor was Bam Bam Bigelow? Like, was he the, kind of like miser, kind of off to himself, counting his wrestling
I
money,
definitely
or
think the kids probably were terrified. Like, I imagine like 7-year-olds riding their bike in front of his house and then being like, that's where the fire monster lives. And so when those kids were burning in a fire and he came in, they probably thought it was Satan himself coming to take them to hell. He's terrifying,
really
dude.
now, Timmy.
He's like, I'm here for you guys. They're like, no! No, leave us in the fire.
He's like Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino. He's the mean guy in the neighborhood, but ends up saving the whole deal.
Dude, what a great movie.
Wow.
Dude, Clint Eastwood as Bam Bam Bigelow. There we go.
Dude, the funniest thing to me is just picturing anybody at all ever wearing the Bam Bam Bigelow tights. Like
they literally, even if somebody was a bodybuilder, they would still be not flattering because it's just like putting spandex over your entire body and covering everything, and it just makes you look like awful.
Oh man, it just keeps getting better with every person. Oh, this is a great story, man. This was fun. Like, both these stories were stellar.
If you guys are enjoying the show, give us a 5-star review, a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. Share this episode with your friends. Every person you share with, it's like, it's good for us. It's good for you. It's good for everybody.
It is great. You totally swerved me on the Bam Bam story. I thought we were gonna get like, he and
here's how he died or something.
He and Lawrence Taylor, like, were poker buddies or something like that. I don't know. Like, I didn't know where it was going. And then next thing I know, like, Bam Bam Bigelow is like this Christ figure sacrificing himself for the lives of 3 children.
Yes. That was a swerve, dude. I swerved you.
Completely swerved.
Swerved it. Follow us
show.
on Twitter at Wrestling Fables.
At Wrestling
Facebook,
Fables.
Instagram, True Wrestling Fables. Shoot us an email, truewrestlingfables@gmail.com.
Yes, and if you can find that Dusty Rhodes tape, if you have any leads, any information, if you've got that Macho Man defining moments figure or a Dusty Rhodes trucker hat, yeah.
And just so you guys know, if you want to follow us on Twitter, I'm at Tony Sai. Jonathan's at Jonathan Bowles.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in. Watch some wrestling this week.
Yeah, and don't eat that Taco Bell in the parking lot.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Put down the burrito.
Put it down. Put it down. It's gonna be okay.
Life's not over.
Go to Waffle House.
Just pull into Carl's Jr. and get a $6 premium burger instead. Treat yourself.
You're worth it.
You've been listening to True Wrestling Fables. Go to truewrestlingfables.com to find out how you can join the Fables stable. It's just 3 easy steps and you get free stuff. Join Tony and Jonathan again next Sunday, right here at 6:05 p.m. Thanks for listening.